So today let's talk about some non-traditional art tips. And what do I mean by that? I mean tips that you might not get if you look up, best practices to draw or something. And we're talking about things like practice, 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 learning your fundamentals, learning about color theory. These are things that are extremely important to becoming a good artist. Honestly, it's things that I should probably focus on a little bit more. I'm going to put a bunch of links in the description of good resources for that stuff, but that's not what this video is about. This video is about tips that you might not hear everywhere or anywhere. For me, they have been a game changer when it comes to creating art, so I thought I would make a little video about what they are. So let's get into it. So as I mentioned at the start of the video, this is going to be all about non-traditional art tips. And what do I mean by that? It's kind of hard to explain, to be honest. So not a good start on my end as a YouTube creator, as a video creator, trying to convey my ideas via the art of long form video. But I can give you an example by getting to the first art tip right now. And that tip is to focus on the lore behind each art piece that you create. Now, I'm not saying you have to do a complete, world building project where you have to have some kind of cohesive world behind each art piece that kind of comes from it. But what I mean is by creating a set of rules and constraints to your art piece, I think you come up with some very interesting things in creative pursuits. And I think one of the big reasons for that is that constraints usually produce results through pressure. So if you constrain yourself to this world where you have certain rules and ideas that your artwork needs to follow, there's a methodical approach to why things are the way that they are. And I think that it does two things. It makes your art more cohesive within the frame of the individual art piece. I think it also encourages you to be more creative because you're putting more critical thought and attention to why the things are the way they are. So, for example, my art, you may ask, why are there so many hands and eyes and mouths and these human body parts or whatever it is in places where there's no business them being? And is it because my dad didn't hug me enough as a child? It's possible, but I think the much more realistic reason behind that is the fact that I have created this big world behind my art pieces, and I haven't exactly revealed that, and it's something that I kind of want to reveal slowly as my art career unfolds. But there is a specific reason why things in my world have additional eyes and hands. And the fact that I have this idea for a world of why that makes sense, I think really informs my art moving forward. And again, it doesn't have to be a massive world building project for you specifically. Maybe it is just a new story or a short story or even a sentence or just a glimpse of an idea behind each artwork, which I think helps inform the art piece as a entire piece. I don't know if that's the best way to phrase it, but hopefully I'm getting my idea across. This is the one art tip that I have found to be the most beneficial for me personally in finding my art style, in finding my art subject. And, I'm not one to hide the best thing for last, so I guess that's the best one. It's only going to go downhill from here. Click off the video, it only gets worse. All right, now that we have lost 90% of the viewer retention, let's get to the second tip, which is do not watch videos while you're working on art. Again, this is very personal for me. I have found that when I have videos on in the background, even if it is not something that visually matters, right? It is someone talking over a game or something, that the game doesn't really matter. You're kind of just watching for the person's commentary. But even though there was no actual need for me to look at the video that was on my second monitor or whatever, I would find that I kept trying to look at what was going on, even if it didn't matter. And I just found that I always had to keep checking back, and I couldn't reach what artists I think probably would agree is akin to nirvana, which we call flow state, where you lose track of time. And that's kind of where you want to be when you're creating artwork. Because when you create your best artwork, it is when you are most productive. And I found that personally, I couldn't get into that mind state if I had videos on in the background. Now, I'm not saying you have to lock yourself in a cave and have your work done in complete silence, although if that works for you, seek help. But what I am saying is that for me personally, I found that audio was the way. So now I just listen to music or podcasts, and that might seem so obvious to some people. It's like, obviously you don't want to be visually stimulated while you're focusing on something. But for me, it took a while to find, and maybe there's other people out there that are like, why can't I focus? I have this video on in the background. It doesn't matter, but I keep getting distracted and I don't know why. For me, that was a big piece of the puzzle. So now it's just music or podcasts when I'm sitting down. Complete side note, but right now I'm listening to Quadika's new album, Vanisher Horizon Scraper. Absolute beautiful album. I don't know why I'm talking about music right now, but I guess it's all things art. If you haven't checked it out, I highly recommend it. It is a very unique piece of art. I don't think anyone's doing it quite like he's doing it right now. Anyways, random tangent aside, that's the second tip that no one else is talking about. It's just me, baby. I got these tips that no one else knows about. I am the arbiter of truth, and also, please subscribe. All right, the third tip is zoom out, man. You're way too close. If you're a digital artist like myself, you have probably been sucked into the screen similarly as I have. You zoom in on a line to like 2000% and you redo it like 50 times to make sure it's the perfect angle, and then you zoom out and it doesn't make a difference. This is gonna be a quick tip, but it's just something that I need to get better. So honestly, this is just for myself. So everyone else, look away from the screen for a little bit. Stop zooming in. The line art looks fine. As soon as you're at like 50% zoom, anything beyond that is just gonna be wasted space and wasted time. If the composition and the line art looks good from a distance, that's like the main thing. This is mainly a digital art issue. I guess also you can see it in traditional art, but it's a big one for digital art. Zoom out. All right, let's get on to the fourth subject. The fourth tip is to organize your artistic thoughts. I personally use Notion to do this, or at least I have started to. I needed to get a hold on things. When it comes to me personally, right, I am trying to organize art photos, like product pictures, art ideas, video ideas, short form content, all this stuff, because I'm pursuing becoming hopefully a full-time artist one day. And it was just too much for my head. But maybe for you, it is just art. And either way, you need to organize your thoughts. Art does not come, creativity doesn't come in a constant flow, at least not for me. It is a ebb and flow. It comes and goes. You have moments of extreme creativity and moments of drought. And when you're super creative, you probably have all these ideas that are flowing through your head, and you can only make art so quick. Even if you're the fastest art creator in the world, you're not going to be able to keep up with it, unless you're an AI artist, in which case you can yourself. You won't be able to create as much art as you want to for the ideas you have in your head. So I think it is something that a lot of people don't do, but when you are in that mode of creativity, write down your art ideas. Like I said, I use Notion. I'll just throw it on screen here real quick what I have. Even if the idea comes to me randomly when I'm out running errands or something, I quickly jot it down in my phone, and then I'll add it to my Notion later, because you never know when that drought is going to hit. A couple videos ago, I had a talk about the fact that I had art block for almost a year. And I find that when your creativity starts to wane a bit, having this list of ideas can help spark things again, which is very important. And I think it's just something that a lot of people don't do or don't think about. But if it's something you already do, congratulations, you're better than me. I hope you feel great. All right, so the fifth and final art tip is, I forget, I gotta look at my script. Right, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so the fifth and final art tip is to take advantage of your medium, of your artistic medium. As a digital artist, I felt a lot of the time that I was cheating when I took advantage of the tools available to me in my medium, right? When I would use the mirror tool for something to keep it symmetrical, or when I would select something and like rotate it with transform, it felt like I was cheating as an artist. But I think you kind of have to get over that and understand that art can be, influenced or a product of the medium that it is created with. You don't have to feel less than as an artist because you're using tools at your disposal. I think it's important to note that these tools should be a tool. You use them like, I think it's important to note that these tools should not be used as a replacement to pursue making yourself better as an artist. But I don't think you should feel guilty for using them, right? If you are working with clay or polymer clay or something, obviously there's the tactile element to creating something physical. So you can use things like texture that you wouldn't be able to use as easily in other mediums, and you should take advantage of that. If you're doing oil or acrylic painting, maybe you use underpainting to get those really deep and complex colors that would be very difficult to get in digital or other mediums. So when I talk about taking advantage of the medium, I'm not just talking about digital art. I think there's benefits and drawbacks to every artistic medium and output, and you just have to be, I think, honest with yourself of what you can use as an artist to make your art better. Because honestly, at the end of the day, that should be your final goal, is to make something that you are proud of making, and whatever tools you have at your disposal to do that, then you should take advantage of them. And I think I just said the same point like 4 times in a row in that sentence, but you get the idea. All right, so that's gonna wrap up the video, kind of a shorter one, but I just had these ideas kind of bouncing around in my head for a while of some art tips that are outside the norm that I haven't really seen talked about too much, and maybe they help you, maybe they don't, but I can tell you with certainty that they definitely help me, and they have helped make my art and creative process much more streamlined and better. I don't know, there's probably a better way to phrase it, but it is what it is. And if they helped you, definitely let me know. Or if you have other tips that are kind of outside the norm, if you will, feel free to leave them in the comments down below as well. There will also be my Patreon, all my socials, my website, everything down below in the description. If you did like the video, consider subscribing and liking the video. It does help a ton. I just want to say thank you very much. Keep creating. It is the most important thing you can do. At least that's my opinion. And again, I'm FacemanArt. I think I mentioned it at the start, but in case I didn't, kind of a weird time to say it, but I am him. And thanks for watching. Bye.